Welcome to our final presentation on image processing using SDSOC on SOCs such as Zboard. In earlier video, we worked on the understanding of different concepts. We used the OpenCV and the MATLAB to implement various algorithms, and we implemented the software algorithm in the SDSOC. In this video, we discuss about the 2D FIR filter and the median filter, which we have implemented on the hardware and run them on the Zboard. But before we move on, we need to know why we are using the hardware like Zboard to implement these algorithms. The reason is that these hardware can run algorithm much faster than this algorithm running on the software in CPU. The reason to move to the FPGAs is because they can provide the option to do the parallel processing, and due to which our overall throughput improves. Because if algorithm is running parallelly, then there will be that will be working much faster than the serial execution. That's why when we implement these techniques, we get much more fast results. Yeah, so as said in this video, we discuss about the two filters. One is the 2D FIR filter and the median filter. The use of the 2D FIR filter is to sharp and smooth the image, and the median filter is to remove the salt and pepper noise. So both of these filters were implemented separately, and when they were combined to see the results. A brief idea about the salt and pepper noise is that what happens is that due to the sharp and sudden disturbance in the image, it leads to the black and white pixel occurrence in the image. Thus, the median filter acts to remove this salt and pepper noise, and the 2D FIR filter sharpens and smooths the images. Objective of the project is to understand and demonstrate the image filtering techniques with the help of the SDOCC and implement them on the Z-board, and perform the hardware and software partitioning and perform the analysis on it, and then analyzing the functions on different word length and finds the trade-off between the accuracy and the complexity. And finally, we have to prepare a handout and a well commented code along with the video explaining the project. The overall workflow in the project. We have used the image in the PNG and the JPG format and converted it into the CSV file with the help of the MATLAB. And in the SDSOC, we have written the median filter and the 2D FIR filter codes for the software and the hardware implementation. And we have built that program to run on the hardware. The hardware which we are using here is the Z-board. So we use the Teraterm to extract the generated CSV file on the board, and then finally we feed that CSV file to the MATLAB. We generate the both CSV file for the software as well as for the hardware, and to see the difference between both image.
So this is the algorithm of the median filter that has been used in the software implementation. So we know that the median filter is basically used to remove the salt and pepper noise from the image. So actually, due to salt and pepper noise, there would be an unnecessary white and black dots on the image. We know that in case of a grayscale image, the pixel intensity values vary from the range of 0 to 255, where 255 pixel intensity values represent white color and 0 pixel intensity value represents black color. So salt and pepper noise occurs when there are more of these extreme pixel intensity values, that is 0 and 255 on the input image. So using median filter, we try to replace these extreme values with some intermediate value. So how we do is, this is the algorithm that we have used. So we store the pixel values of the input image in an array, and then we extract every 3 cross 3 array from this input image, and then we store it into the window which is of a similar dimension, that is 3 cross 3, and then we sort this window array and then extract the median element of the window array and replace it with the median element of the input matrix, thereby replacing the black and white dots with a gray color. And hence a similar procedure is carried out for every 3 cross 3 array of the input image by sliding the window vertically and horizontally as shown in the image here. So let's look at the software implementation of same. So this is the main.cpp file. Image.csv is the file which contains the input pixel intensity values of the image. This is extracted using MATLAB. So here so this image contains 321 rows of pixel intensity values and 320 columns. So we traverse through all these rows and columns and then store all these values into a matrix which is known as data, which is of a similar dimension. And then again, we pass this data into the median function. So this is the function of the median filter. Here we are extracting every 3 cross 3 array as shown here, and then storing it into the window array. Here a window is considered a 1D array which is of a dimension 9, and this window array is sent into the insertion sort function. So the insertion sort is the algorithm used here for the sorting purpose. After the insertion, after the sorting has been taken place, the sorted elements are placed into the same array, which is window here. And in the final step, the median value of the window array, which is window 4, is extracted and is stored into the median value of the destination matrix. So in this way, the entire procedure is carried out. So this has been the software implementation. We actually faced few problems implementing the same algorithm in the hardware because there were insufficient number of block RAMs available. So we tried to modify our code. We tried to modify the algorithm in such a way that the data from the input image is accessed sequentially and only once. So this is the algorithm that has been used. So this is the input image. Actually, the input image of a project has the dimension 321 cross 320. For simplicity, 4 cross 4 is taken here. This is the 3 cross 3 window array, and this is the line buffer. The dimension of the line buffer is that its height contains the height of the window, which is 3, and its width contains the width of the input image. This is 4 in this example, and in our project it is actually 320. And we have used another parameter, which is pixel. It is a vertical array of a dimension 3. Okay. So in the first step, what we do is that initially all the window, line buffer, and pixel are stored with initially 0 values, and then we extract the first row of the input image and then copy it into the last row of the line buffer, and then by shifting the line buffer vertically upwards. So here the first row of the input image is copied into the last row of the line buffer, and then each row of the line buffer is then again copied into the pixel array. So here the first column of the line buffer is copied into the pixel array, and then this row is again copied into the this column pixel array is again copied into the last column of the window array by shifting the window leftwards. All the columns of the line buffer are copied into the pixel array in each iteration, and in each iteration the pixel array is copied into the last column of the window matrix by shifting leftwards. So this is the last step by shifting all the 4 columns. So in the second iteration that has been performed in line buffer, the second row of the input image, which is this, is copied into the last row of the line buffer by again shifting the line buffer vertically upwards. So here we get 1 0 column and then 2 rows of the input image, and then the similar procedure is carried out where we store each of this column into the vertical array, which is pixel, in each iteration, and then again this pixel array is copied into the last row of the window by shifting leftwards. So at the end, this is the window array that has been obtained. And at the third operation that is performed on line buffer, finally the 3 cross 3 matrix of the input image is copied into the line buffer, and then by shifting again vertically upwards, and then these are again stored into the pixel arrays, and when these pixel array is copied into the columns of the window, this is the step where the whole of the 3 cross 3 input image is copied into the window array. So again, when we try to copy the 4th column of the pixel that has been obtained here, into the last column of the window, this is the second 3 cross 3 matrix that we get of the 4 cross 4 input image as shown here. So this is the second 3 cross 3 array, and by shifting this column, this row here, we get the second 3 cross 3 matrix. So similarly, by again inserting the 4th row of the input image and then again carrying the similar operation, which is shifting the column of this pixel array obtained into the last column of the window, we get the third and the fourth 3 cross 3 matrix of the 4 cross 4 input image. So yeah, this is the GIF for the 321 cross 320 input image of ours. So let's say this is the line buffer. From the line buffer, a 3 cross 3 matrix is extracted and is stored into the window, and this is sorted, and the median element is again going into the outstream. So in this way, using only the line buffer, window and pixel array, the entire manipulation of data is carried out. Only the data from the input is accessed only once, thereby reducing the hardware resource utilization to a maximum extent, and hence we could overcome this our problem in this way. The next sorting algorithm will be explained by Sayan.
So this window is passed to a sorting algorithm. For software implementation, we used insertion sort, but time complexity is big of n square on that case. In case of insertion sort, what we do, the two loops will go from 1 to 9, as we are considering 3 by 3 window here, and the lower loop will compare the index 0 element with all the elements of the array, and at the end of one iteration of the outer loop, we will get the minimum element of the array at the 0th index position of the array. Next, what we will do, it will take the fast index position element, and it will compare it with all the elements of the array, and it will the second minimum value of the whole array will be placed at the first index position of the array. Thus it will sort the array. Now here in the hardware implementation, we had to optimize the this sorting algorithm. So what we are doing here, so in the here one loop is iterating for 9 times, we can show here the stage equal to 1 to 9. It is incrementing from 1 to 9, and it is iterating from 1 to 9. And but the trick here is the inner loop here is iterating from for 5 times. So what it is doing, it is checking if the stage value is odd or even. If it is odd, it compares the elements like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, and 8 is untouched. So the inner loop iterates for 5 times in this case. When the stage is even, it checks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. These array index position elements. So in both the cases, it checks the minimum of the two subsequent position and keep the minimum of the two at the lower index position. So as you can see here for this stage 2, it checks between 13 and 1, and the lower between them is 1, so 1 is kept at the lower index position. Similarly for 12 and 8, it keeps 8 at the lower index position. Thus when the outer loop just runs for 9 times, the array is sorted, and the middle of the array element is the median element of the window, and it is returned to the calling function. Now we will check the code where the hardware implementation of the median filter is done. So yeah. So in the hardware implementation, the first issue was that we could not send this huge data, as we can see here, this image matrix data from PS to PL, and we are getting this error like BRAM resource is exhausted. So we have used this Pragma SDS data access pattern sequence here for FIFO implementation. As we can see here, the .h file, we have used this Pragma. So using that, we got rid of the error, and yeah. So next thing is what we are doing here basically. We are then initializing these three arrays as demonstrated in the workflow, like line buffer, pixel, and window. And why we are using these sizes for them has already been explained. So what we are doing here, we are iterating for total number of rows and total number of columns to iterate throughout the image, and that is done using these two loops, L1 and L2. And this next, this line buffer shift, this loop is for shifting the line buffer contents vertically upwards, and pixel is also taking the elements of the line buffer, and after this iteration is over, the line buffer, the input in pix, which is taking the data element at a particular input pixel, it is taking at a time, and that input pixel is updated at the last row of the line buffer, similarly at the last row of the pixel value, pixel element. Next, there is this window shift loop, which is shifting the contents of the window array towards its left, and after this iteration is over, the last column of the window is updated with the pixel array. After that, yeah. So before that, we are the Pragma that we are using here for the L2 loop. Inside this L2 loop, we are using this HLS pipeline. As we are using HLS pipeline here, all the nested loops here like window shift and line buffer shift, these loops will be now will be unrolled. and we are using array partition for this line buffer so that we can completely utilize the unrolling operation and parallelly execute all the shifting operation. Now we are calling this median HW function, which is basically taking the window array as an argument, and it is sorting the window array. So as already been discussed, here the code of the algorithm that we discussed earlier, and after passing through this function, we are returning the median element here. So after getting this median element, what we are doing, we are storing it in the mid variable, and based on this condition that whether the window we considered is actually covered the input matrix, like until and unless the row and the column value was greater than or equal to 2, the input and the window actually didn't had the content of the input image. So on that case, we are simply keeping the pix value as 0. On the for the cases where it is valid, we are keeping the mid value as the pix value, and then we are updating that pix value to the our output image. So at the end, we are getting this filtered image in the output array. So now we are going to demonstrate the result that we got. So yeah, so this is the pot image that we consider. This is the noisy image with salt and pepper noise, and this is the filtered image. Now we will use the parrot image and to demonstrate the operation of the median filter. So basically, in our code, our implementation was to show the if given a input image with noise, what will be the output image after it pass through the median filter and the 2DFI filter. But we have extracted the CSV file where the output of the median hardware filter is extracted, and then we are importing the data to check the output image that we are getting. So if I have written down the code in MATLAB. Now if I run the code, we are getting the output image. So this is the original image containing the salt and pepper noise, and this is the output image after the image passes through median filtering. Next, this filter image will be passed to 2DFI filter, where the blur and the blur of the image will be removed, and that part will be demonstrated in the further slides.
Now, what is a 2D FIR filter? Basically, it is a two-dimensional filter which is used to process the two-dimensional signals like images. In our case, we are using a 2D FIR filter for image processing. We are going to use a kernel which is nothing but an m cross n matrix with certain values, which will be sliding over my image matrix and convolving with the values, performing the multiplication followed by addition operations, and storing the values in my final image. And this will lead to the processing of the image for whatever purpose we want to use. Accordingly, we can change the kernel values. Now, as we can see in the first picture, as we can see, this yellow highlighted portion is where the kernel is initially at, and in the consequent images, this kernel shifts by one position and the final convol values are shown here. So this is typically how a 2D convolution works. Now, what is image sharpening? The main concept in our project is image sharpening, which is basically to highlight the minute details in our image, and generally the portions where there are discontinuities. So there are different kinds of ways by which this can be done, but we are using the concept of unsharp mask, where we have an original image which we pass it through a low pass filter, giving us a blurred signal that we subtract from the original signal to get the unsharp mask, and then we add it back to the original signal to get the sharpened signal. And this is basically we are going to use in our project as well. But in our project, not only the as we have seen, not only the conventional 2D convolution, we have also utilized the concept of separable 1D filters, where the result is very much similar, as we can see from here, where we can break a 2D matrix into these two 1D matrix, and then we can perform a horizontal convolution followed by a vertical convolution, and the result obtained will be similar. And using separable 1D filters helps to reduce the resource complexity to a great deal, and that is why we have utilized it in our project. And this is the general algorithm for the 2DFI filter, where we read the image and store them in a 1D row. We perform the horizontal 1D convolution followed by the vertical convolution. The filtered image is a slightly blurred or smoothened version. We subtract that from the original image to obtain the high pass filtered image. We add that unsharp mask to the original image, and the final image is obtained. Now we start with the software implementation of a 2D FIR filter. We have already learned the basic algorithm by which we were performing this entire sharpening thing, where we separated the 2D convolution into 1D separable filter. The exact same thing will be done over here. So we start with the horizontal convolution. Now as we can see, we have HQuef, which is my horizontal filter. This will now so I have taken a 4x4 image, and this HQuef coefficients will slit over my image row wise. So at first this 1 to 1 is over this highlighted pink portion, which is 2, 4, 5, and the normal convolution operation, that is 2 into 1 plus 4 into 2 plus 5 into 1, that is 15, is being calculated. Similarly, in the next iteration, this window of pixel gets shifted to by one position, and it is now at this position 4, 5, 2. Here also the same convolution operation happens, and the resultant value 16 is produced. Now we have taken a local temporary variable which is of the size 4x4, that is entire 16, and here to keep the image pixels in a row major form, we are storing the resultant convolution values like this. Now this was the first iteration of my outermost loop. Now in the second iteration, this entire pixel window moves to my next row, and here also it shifts from 389 then 890, and if I had a bigger image with a bigger width, it will move on like this. Here also the same convolution with 1 to 1 is performed, and the resultant values 28 and 26 are stored in the corresponding position in the local variable. Then likewise, after the entire iteration is completed, after it has passed through all the rows, the final values are stored in this local variable as such. Now we move on to vertical convolution. So the final values which were present in local were these after the horizontal convolution. Now for easier visualization and understanding, I've created this 4x4 matrix, and I have stored these values like this. Now this 1 to 1 is my vertical filter coefficient. Now this vertical coefficient will move over my image kernel, and as we can see that when it is first convolved with this highlighted portion, we get the value 0. Then in the next iteration of the row, it moves to the next column. Here it will iterate with 15, 28, 20. Then it will iterate with 16, 26, 9. Now basically here we are first performing this vertical convolution and storing the pixels row wise, because our main aim is to store the pixels in a row major form, and that is why after the first iteration 0, 91, 77 and 0, these are the values which will be stored in my DST variable, which is another a 1D array in which we are going to store our final convoluted values. Now during the second iteration, now my this pixel window, vertical pixel window, now shifts below, and now this highlighted portion is the one which will do the convolving action. In the next iteration, again it moves to the next column. Here 28, 20 and 8 will be convolved with 1 to 1. Then with 26, 9 and 8, and then with 0, 0, 0. Again the resultant values are 0, 76, 52 and 0, which are stored over here. So these are basically the final convolved values after both horizontal and vertical convolution. And these values, as you can see that there are certain values which are 0, 0, 0. These are nothing but the values at the border, and we know that at the border the pixel values generally can get haywire. So to maintain and adjust those values according, so that we are able to see a proper recreation of the image, that is why certain border adjustment is done, which is also done in our code. Now let us see the actual code. So this is the actual code which we have written, which is 2dfi.cpp, and the function name is f2dfir. This is the code which we have written for the software implementation. So here SRC, so SRC is my input image, which is a 321 into 320. We have taken a 1D array, and this is the sharpened, which will be my output. Now we have used HQuef and VQuef. These are nothing but the horizontal and the vertical kernels of size 3, which we already know. We have taken a border width of quantisize by 2, which is 3 by 2, 1. That is, we are keeping the pixels at the border for now 0, so that we can adjust it later on for proper recreation of the image. Now as I showed you, I have also a local variable which is of the size of the image only to store those variables, and DST is the final array which will store the values after the convolution. Now I initialize all the values of local with 0 initially. I start with the horizontal convolution. So this column ranges from 0 to 321, which is basically the height of my image, and the row is border width, which is 1 and goes till the rightmost corner of my image except the border. We extract 1 pixel, and this loop, which is hconv h loop, this part is the one which is basically creating a sliding window of 3, which is shifting by 1 pixel at every loop and performing the convolution. Here we can see hcoef is multiplied with src, and the values are stored in local. So after so for the second iteration of column, my this horizontal window will shift to the next row, and until the entire and in the entire height of the image, this row will keep on shifting, as I have already shown. Now comes the vertical convolution, but before that we have also initialized a DST array also with 0. So in the vertical convolution, as we can see that in this vconv loop also the same thing is happening, performing of convolution, that is creating a sliding window of 3. Now however, this sliding window is basically shifting as we have seen column wise to maintain the row major values. So here local with the offset is multiplied with vcoef and stored in DST, and for every iteration of vconv or column, we are basically shifting the sliding window vertically downwards, and the final values are stored in DST array. So this is the border adjustment part which will be done as mentioned above. Now basically we are extracting the values of the DST, storing them pixval, and this pixval is stored in test. So test is basically a 321 into 320 matrix, which is basically storing the output of the FIR, and the input is stored in this input 2D array. Next is we perform the unsharp mask creation, where we subtract the test pixel from the input to get the unsharp, and this unsharp is again added back to the input to get the values interval. This interval thresholding is performed to ensure that my grayscale image remains within my limits of 255 and 0, and then these are stored in sharpen, and this will be my final output of the FIR, which will then be written into the CSV file to be viewed as an image. Next we move on to the hardware implementation of the 2D FIR filter. So the main algorithm remains the same. The only difference is that we use a HLS stream. Now since we are dealing with very huge chunk of data like 320 into 321 pixels, where each one of them has to be added, multiplied several times, that is why we thought of using HLS stream, because we can imagine it as a FIFO of infinite depth. A FIFO is generally created as an interface port, and here there is no requirement of any address management, as a result of which the resource complexity or the computational complexity is much more simpler using this. So here we can imagine that this 2D array is broken up into a stream of pixels. We have a horizontal convolution kernel, we have a HWN pixel window where the new values from SRC keeps feeding in after every iteration, and this acts as the shift register, keeps on shifting the values, as we can see, that is 002, then 24, then new value 5 comes in, then 2 goes out, and another new value 2 goes in, and corresponding element wise multiplication addition goes on happening, and the values are stored in out val. Now as we know that only the valid convolution value will be stored in hconv, which is basically my output of this horizontal convolution. So because we know that if this 1-to-1 was placed over this image, so the valid convolution would have been with 245 and 452. So only these two out vals will be stored in hconv, and with repeated iterations the pixels of the next rows will be accessed, and this will continue. Next we have the vertical convolution, where we have a line buffer of 2 into width of image size, and these values we can imagine are the output of the horizontal convolution, that is x, y, z, m and o. Now basically here we have a vertical kernel, one is multiplied with x, 2 with m, and one will be multiplied with a new value which is basically streaming in from my hconv stream, and those are stored in this particular variable vwin. and what happens is we get the convoluted value out val, which we store in our final variable. Now in the next step, what happens, x goes out of the line buffer, and this new value which we fed in, suppose a gets shifted into the line buffer. So using this line buffer as a shift register, we can basically help to perform this vertical convolution with much lesser resources. Otherwise the amount of storage space we would have required would be very high. Now coming to the actual code where we have implemented the hardware. So this is F2D hardware top, where basically we have taken source in, DST out, width and height. Source in is the output of the median filter, and DST out is the output which we will achieve. So basically as we know that we are using HLS stream for the hardware implementation, so SRC and DST are mentioned as HLS stream. So basically we are picking the pixels from SRC in, storing them in, and using this read operator we are storing all these pixels and pouring them into the SRC stream, and then this SRC stream is basically sent to F2DFIR underscore hardware, where the main processing of the function will happen. Here we are using data flow and inline region. Data flow is used so that the sequential call of all the functions later on should all be pipelined. Now coming to the main function, here SRC and DST, for them we have actually used the pragma interface access so as to mention that during RTL synthesis the port which should be generated should be an AXI4 stream, since these are HLS stream defined. Now as we can see, we have also used HLS inline so as that this particular function dissolves into the calling function and does not exist as any separate entity in the RTL hierarchy. Now these are the coefficients, vertical and the horizontal coefficients, and we know the conv size is k, which is 3. And as mentioned earlier, hconv is basically HLS stream which will contain the output of the horizontal convolution, and vconv is output of the vertical convolution. We have a line buffer which is of the size k minus of 1, that is 2 into 320. We have also used the HLS pragma array partition for line buffer because the loops are pipelined, and by partitioning line buffer it will be easier to do simultaneous reading and improve the throughput. We have also used this macro assert. This basically shows that if the height, width and all these values, these are the maximum values which they can go, and according to this gives an information during HLS synthesis that the hardware can be optimized according to these maximum limits. This is the advantage of using assert in comparison to loop trip count, where there is no hardware optimization done. So this is the hardware, this is the horizontal convolution which we have already seen how it is happening, where from SRC using the read operator we are taking in the in values, and using this basically HWN is the pixel window where the pixels are getting shifted, and they are multiplied with hquef and stored in outval, and for row greater than 2 the outval is stored in hconv. Then this hconv will serve as the input to the vertical convolution, where we have mentioned HLS loop trip count and pipeline. These are as required. Now as we can see that inside the code, line buffer I and line buffer I minus of 1 are used in the same inside the loop. So there is an interloop dependency, and this can hinder the pipelining action of the loop, and that is why we have used the HLS dependence variable pragma, stating that this dependency is false. So we are reading from the line buffer, storing in w in val, we are multiplying with vquef, storing in outval, and this outval is then stored in the final output stream vconv. Now there is some border adjustment which is being done here, and the final pix out is stored in DST stream. Now this DST stream, we will now go back to the calling function, and here this DST will be poured into the destination, which is a single 1D array, which is DST out. Now this DST out will go back to the calling function, and this output will again be sent for mid processing. Now this is the function which will basically help us to perform the create the unsharp mask. So basically by subtracting this pixval from source copy, that is I'm subtracting the output of the FIR from my source, and then again adding it back to create the sharp pixels, and then storing them in DST out. And here also we have done the thresholding of the pixels to ensure that the pixels grayscale pixel do not exceed their required values. So this is the output which we are going to discuss now. So this is the parrot image, which is we can see has noise in it. We pass it through a median filter and we get a noise free image, which is also an input to the FIR filter, as we can see here. Then we pass it through the Gaussian filter, so we get a slightly blurred image, and this blurred image is then subtracted from the input image, and we get this image minus blur image, which is basically my unsharp mask. I add it back to the actual original image and I get a finally sharpened image, as we can see. And we have achieved similar results for the Lena image as well, which is as we can see here, there is noise. We remove the noise, pass it to the input FIR, then we slightly blur it, we subtract this from the original image, getting this unsharp mask. We add it back to the original image and we get the final image, which is highly sharpened, as you can see. As for we have also compared a 3x3 and a 5x5 Gaussian kernel. We can see the two kernels and the normalization factors are also different. In terms of latency, there has been only a slight change, and the speed up is also almost similar. And when we will see the output, we will see that we get a better little output in case of 5x5, but there is one disadvantage of it, that the number of resources increases very highly, as we can see from this chart. So we have preferred to stick to 3x3 only. And these are the outputs. This was the original image, hardware filtered image. This is for 3x3 and this is for 5x5. There's a slight improvement when we use a 5x5, a slight improvement in sharpening. Similar for the software also, as we can see here.
So now we are going to check the filtered output. So we have, this is the image underscore 2.csv is the input image containing the salt and pepper noise. Out1 hard hwnew.csv file is the CSV file imported after the noisy input is passed through the hardware implementation of median filter and 2D-FIR filter, and out1.csv is the output image after the noisy input is passed through the software implementation of the median and 2D-FIR filter. So if we run the code, so 3 images have been generated. This is the software image, the hardware output, and this is our original image. So our original image contains the salt and pepper noise, and after it passed through median and 2D-FIR filter, we can see the changes, and the hardware and the software output are almost same, and this is our output.
Let's look at the results. If we look in the row 1 and the row 2, we can see the impact of the pipelining pragma. We can observe that there is a change in the speed up. In the second one is much more faster than the first one, because we are processing the data at a faster rate with the help of the pipelining. There is there is a change in overall throughput, which we also notice that without the use of the essential pragma in this function, it leads to the significant decrement in the speed up factor, which is even less than 1. So notice the latency in the mid-proc function. With the usage of the pipelining pragma, the latency improved significantly, and which is the reason behind the improvement in the speed up factor. Looking over case 2 and 3, if you observe that when median is moved to the hardware, then there is a significant improvement in the speed up. The reason is that the software runs an sorting algorithm which is comparatively slower, that is order of n square, and on larger data order of n square would be of high factor. And thus when this sequential processing is moved to the hardware, and the efficient code which is written in such way that it processes the pixel at each cycle, thus which result in the better performance. While the 2D filter is completely the same, but the key difference is the streaming access of data. That is, at each every cycle the data is accessed and the processed at each cycle. Here in the case 3, when we compared with the case 3 second row, the difference is the usage of pipelining pragma, so which also resulted in not significant, but yes, the improved in the speed of factor. So in the latency, we can also notice the improvement. Finally, let's look at the impact of the word length. So in the comparison, we did with the without AP unsigned in, and with the integer type. So if we look here with the usage of the AP in, there is the improvement in the resources. The resource usage gets reduced. So in the here the total LUTs, you can observe that it is going down in each case, in each function, because the AP unsigned int will consume the much lesser bit compared to the integer type. Hence, that's why there is a reduction in the resource usage. Finally, we can see that the software implementation compared with the hardware implementation, and the hardware implementation is much better than the software implementation. Good to implement these types of algorithms on the hardware such as FPGA, which provides the parallel performance and increase the overall throughput.